See you today. So I want to tell you about Aaron. He's an incredibly positive, like just powerful. His whole persona is this quiet power, and I think that's amazing. He is changing the poverty mindset of our youth by providing experiences, education, and coaching to youth in underserved communities that prepares them for a productive and financially independent life. So this is an amazing pathway for you to create because you're the founder. So tell me how it came into being because it's a beautiful idea.
Um, Long story short, honestly, I grew up in Detroit. So you find yourselves when you're trying to figure out who you want to be or how you want to live your life,
Yes.
people educate you, right? You find yourself talking to people in a different fashion. And I remember I met this lady and she's like, "What do you want to do with your life?"
I like that.
And at this time, I'm 30 years old. I told her, I'm still trying to make money so I can go back to the hood and help my
Help some
community that
people.
I came from, right?
Yeah.
And so she was just like going to insurance sales.
Really?
I was like, okay. So I go into insurance sales, and the first thing I'm like, it blew my mind. I was like, the relationships, how you network, how do you do all of these things?
Oh
Now,
man.
I didn't stay within the industry for long,
Yeah.
but the skills that I've learned,
You learn
the
and learn
fact
and
that I
learn.
was able to like talk to business owners from so many different industries, and I was just like, how did you get that? How did you? And like then now, all of that said, like I realized how much work it takes, and I don't focus on one thing at a time, so it's hard for me. But ultimately, with the nonprofit, it's more so like the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because it's not like I want to make it and
Right.
then go back. No, like I get to go back with the kids with a different
That's
mindset
absolutely
of
beautiful.
I'm growing and trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out who's in my tribe, who's willing to come back and give back. And so it's just been an
That's
amazing
so
journey.
powerful. So
Now,
you've really given people the ability to dream.
that's what it is. So we had a program, our flagship program is called Evolve, but I was so focused on business concepts and not kind of meeting them where they were. I was trying to pull them to where I am now. And so
Yeah.
we've rebranded it now, and now it's called the Dream Chasers program. So now it's more simplified in regards to when you wake up, what's the first thing on your mind was moving you and motivating you, and how much work have you put into that dream today?
Wow. So it's very accountable,
That part. So
right?
we build a vision for themselves like 10 years out. This is who you want to be. Let's get there. And like we help identify what are the steps you need to take to get there.
Wow. And then you reverse engineer.
That part.
So it's amazing that they have the ability to have contacts with people out in the world that they might need to talk to that you are now talking to. You're an ambassador in Trade Chamber. And so it's powerful. Your network, it's like, don't they say your network is your net worth?
Yes. I think at some point it becomes that.
Yeah, at some point. I think we're going towards that, right?
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, that's the most powerful part. When I walk into a room, right, that imposter syndrome is a very real
Me
feeling.
too.
But if I walk into a room and I feel like I am like the least educated, brokest person in that room and I'm still there and everybody's nice to me, there's something to be learned, like
I
something to
love
learn.
that. Yeah.
And so that's where the power has been. How many people have like poured into me? I talked to a lawyer who gives me some of his time for free, knowing that he charges $500 per hour for
Oh
other.
my
And
God.
so that's the whole part where it's just like I got to make sure I'm capitalizing on the opportunities and the information that they're imparting in me. And I'm a terrible translator when I go back and try to share it with the kids because I'm so energetic and I talk so fast that I think like everybody thinks it's like a fun, good time. And it's like, wait, we got to be serious right now.
This is real.
So I bring in the experts themselves. Once I realize my flaw and how I'm not an educator. So I realized that flaw. Then I bring the experts in to start talking
Wow.
about it. And then we're starting to gain more traction doing it that way.
That's amazing because then they can also see the kids and see the leaders, and the kids can ask direct questions. And it's like you're giving them a view perhaps they've never seen before.
Yes and no. So there's two things to that.
Please.
A lot of these kids in these underserved communities, especially in the high school, right, in their later years, they're so depressed. They've had so many doors closed in their face. They felt rejection on so many different levels. A lot of the schools that we go into, the kids are literally moping. They hate being there. And so trying to inject passion into them and trying to shift their mindset within our 8-week program, is a monumental task. That was something I didn't foresee when I started this process.
You wouldn't know.
Exactly. And so,
wouldn't
like,
know.
because as a kid, when I was 16, I sat in the schools and I was always like, has nobody ever made it out of Detroit? And if so, why has nobody ever came back? But like, they don't have that same mindset. For
No.
them, it's like the door is shut. It is what it is. This is what life looks like.
But
And-
like, if you didn't have the come with me, then they wouldn't have a really good role model that they can relate to. They can share music and share, jokes and memes and everything, but also have you introduce them to people who could literally change their lives, right?
That, and I tell them, like, right, like, let's just talk about ideas. What is it that you're passionate about? And then, if this is your idea and this is what you want to do and pursue, if the person that can help you get there, doesn't matter if they're black, white, male, or female.
They say no, right?
And that's the first time they've actually stopped and thought about it.
Wow.
So then they're like, right? So if it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter who I
Then it
bring in
doesn't
here,
matter.
who educates you. We're ready to tune in and be all in. And then that's where kind of I can start bringing in people that they wouldn't have normally connected to in their real lives.
Yeah. So, in addition to one-to-one and group activities, you also partner with local companies and nonprofit organizations who provide projects, internships, and career opportunities for those who are ready to take that step. Wow. So you have to kind of get them to the place where they're thinking in that direction and they're moving into
Yes, and
being ready.
yes. So one of the biggest struggles is, right, like I would love to say I groom them so that when I bring them, my network to them, that they're ready.
They're ready.
But it's not that way. I bring my network to them where they are, and I just educate the people around me. Like, hey, these kids don't know the difference between having a job at McDonald's versus being a lawyer, right? Like, we all have 24 hours in a day, and it's what you're working on that determines your trajectory. And so they're looking, like, when I tell them, my mentors that, like, my professionals, they're kind of confused at first until they get in front of the kids, and it's just like, all right, so bring it down, dumb it down a little bit, and then that's when we can kind of start bridging that gap.
Do you know that's so good for the professionals themselves personally? Because it's so good to get out of your where you've created, your life. It's nice to step out of it for a moment and look at it from a different viewpoint, perhaps through their eyes, because you see, like, you're so grateful for what you have, but you're also very aware of, like, how hard it was to get to be a professional.
And so with that, I got two stories, right? So I got one guy who's a private banker. So he only works with clients who have $250,000 in assets. And so I had him come talk to the students on career day. And so he was trying to share what he does and, like, get the kid. And, like, they're, like, so confused listening to him and all. So then I come in because I kind of knew that there was going to be a slight gap. I thought what he did was fascinating, but it's because I have an understanding.
You do.
So I was just like, okay. And when I realized that they weren't understanding anything he said, I was like, so what kind of clients do you work with? He was just like, I work with all kind of clients. I was like, how much money do they need to have to work with you? Well, I can't work with anybody less than $250,000 in assets, right? Then their eyes got perked up like, oh,
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you meet these clients of yours? Well, so then he started talking about the country clubs and, like, the memberships and all of the stuff that he has joined in.
His network, in a sense.
Exactly. And then they're like, oh, so technically y'all families don't have enough money to, like, right, for him to have interacted with you guys on a day-to-day basis. So then it's starting to try to bridge those gaps.
Yeah.
And then I met this other lady. She works at a luxury company, and she was just like, I want to quit my job. Because we were in this, like, cohort group together, Leadership Oakland, actually. Anybody who's interested,
Leadership Oakland.
Leadership Oakland is phenomenal. And so she was just like, I want to quit my job. I want to do something more meaningful now. Because there was a lot of nonprofits, and we were talking about the issues and stuff. And so I was like, don't quit your job. Just volunteer some of your time towards helping some of the
That's
missions.
amazing, because she could be very helpful for the people because she's still in the job. But, I know of someone who realized that a lot of kids out of college don't say, hey, I'm going to be a property appraiser. No one really says that. But with somewhere around 50, you're like, that's a pretty good job because I see how little they work. And I'm like, yeah, I want to work 3 hours and work this. And so if people would know in college that there was this pathway, then they could actually go in there instead of 30, 40 years later, say, geez, I wish I knew this when I was, right? So he went to his boss, and his boss created a program where you do the 2,000 hours of inspecting and whatever, but you also write the exam, and then you have a job at that company.
Wow.
So interesting to think actually for you, because doesn't that open up all sorts of potential? Because if the company is like, yeah, we should invest in our youth, and yeah, we should have people, knowing what we do 30 years earlier, maybe they can come and talk. And then if there's some way that you could have them be interns or whatever it is, but it's just like your ability to dream for them that I think is so touching.
I never even looked at it that way.
It's just beautiful. It's true. Isn't it funny? Like, it's
Oh.
sometimes like it's somebody else like looking in, but I think that's just so precious because they could have gone through the rest of their lives never seeing anything except for this narrow, this one thing, this Detroit.
I saw a video on some social media, it might have been YouTube, but like it talked about if you put a cricket in a container, right? And he hits his head on the ceiling so many times, he won't jump that high anymore. So when you take it off, he's so conditioned that he won't ever escape out of that situation.
Oh God!
And
Even though he could have
He
originally
has the ability
jumped
to
high.
jump out, right? So
Wow.
like so like that's just like what the environment does.
It's incredible. I think kids really relate to stories because you can teach them and they don't really want to hear the theory and the specific. Am I making any sense at all? You're a great storyteller, so I think you're a really good educator. I think that, like when you have the right message, then it lands because you're so authentic.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's honestly it's been a phenomenal journey. Like they say, embrace the journey and don't worry so much about how it ends.
True.
I struggle. So I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I finally hit the point to where I can celebrate the small wins. I can enjoy the day-to-day process,
That's precious.
but the amount of times I wanted to quit is just.
It's true.
This is why I'm glad I built the network that I did,
too.
because every time I get to the point where it's just like,
Oh,
I'm done with this.
yeah, exactly.
Everybody comes through and be like, something pops up. I get a phone call, I get an email, and it just reinvigorates life in me. It's like, hey, can we do this?
And you don't want to say no. Yes, we can.
Right,
Yes,
absolutely.
we
Let's
can.
give it a try, right? And then I learned, right? Like most people look at failure as like the fear of failure, and it's not a fail, right? Like it's a lesson learned. You can continue, you can do it again, but do it better because
Right.
you've learned the lesson.
That's amazingly productive and amazing and helpful because you win or you learn.
And that honestly it's a level of embarrassment that comes with the learning part, but we're so afraid of the vulnerability that is required that we don't put ourselves out there. I'm like, how can you not? I come from an environment where we had nothing. What do I have to do to build this?
Yeah.
And like again, like the opportunity, our chance encounter that led to this. All of the things, it's just like I go home and I talk to God. I'm like, man, you putting me through the ringer, but I love every bit of it.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I'm so glad because, we have to be, in a sense, on alert for our next amazing idea, right? Because we don't know where it's going to come from. But I'm glad I said that. I'm glad that I said, you're allowing them to dream, but like they're dreaming through you. And then they meet people who are like, well, actually, this is doable. And they're like, what? Me? Yes, you.
And that, so think of like the industries, all of the business out there that's saying, it's hard to find talent. Nobody wants to work today. It's twofolds, right? Like, it's not a matter of kids don't want to work, but how is this work aligning with their values? Or how does this make them better?
Mm-hmm.
And so many, like, the thought process has been for so long, all you do is show up, you give your 30 years to this company. And like, right, like nobody wants to dedicate that with no personal satisfaction. Because our parents were coming home angry, agitated all the time, having no energy for us. Why does that look like a life that I want to live?
Yeah.
And so, again, like I told you, I'm in my grind phase right now, and I still make time for my daughter. I love that she shakes up the narrative for me.
That's awesome.
I could be dead tired, and she gives me the energy. You know what? Let's go do that.
Right.
Exactly.
But
so,
see, you're a better person because of her, right? You have to reach really deep, and we're trying to be good role models. We're trying to answer their questions in a way that, doesn't stifle them, but perhaps opens up things in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. Like, yeah, like I feel like to be a good parent, I think it makes you a better business owner, don't you think?
I never correlated the two until recently, and it was just like I want to do better in business, and I always like right, like I meet somebody, and I immediately know what I want from them,
Yes.
and then I'm not willing to go through the process of getting it. It's like, why do we gotta like you should know if we should want to do business immediately, and it's like okay, you know what? It's almost like dating, right? Like
Yeah, that's
all right,
true.
let me flirt a little bit, let me play the game a little bit more,
Have a
and
little bit of
enjoy
fun,
the
too.
process. Exactly. And so now that I'm more patient in that space, right? Like, so in the meantime, while this 3 month relationship needs, while this new relationship needs 3 months to develop, I got time with my daughter. I got this, I got that. So that way, when the 3 months go by, I've handled all my obligations within it. And now I'm starting to see it blossom into something
Wow.
different. And I was like, you know what? This actually turned out a lot better because I don't stress over it as much anymore.
I think you're a very grateful person. Would you say that?
I am. Yes, and it sucks because I feel like I'm too nice. Sometimes I feel like I'm too nice, and I'm right like personality assessment.
We're
I'm
learning.
researching myself to like a book,
Yeah.
and I'm conflict avoidant.
Oh
Like,
gosh.
all of that, and I'm conflict avoidant. Like right, like if I have
Me
to turn,
too.
she said,
Completely. Like,
if I gotta turn on a mean version of myself, it's almost like, is it worth it? Because that is like when I go there, it has to be a bridge I'm willing to burn, and I'd rather like say,
man,
hey,
you are such a good
this
teacher.
isn't worth my time, as opposed to being like, let me call you out on all the reasons why I can't work with you.
Wow. I just heard, what was this guy? Oh, Chase Hughes. He teaches about behavior profiling and things like that. And he said, like, he was asked, in your dating, like, how do you know if someone's, like, secretly a narcissist or they turn out to be a psychopath? Like, is there a question you can ask? And he says, yes, there is. One question, very simple. Are you authentic? If you're not authentic, they're going to go up and down. Oh, yeah, I'm really authentic, and these are all my bullet points. If you are authentic, actually, you're going to be like, oh, there's places I could probably improve, and you're not going to be convincing the other person
That you're not.
that you're
some-
authentic. Yeah,
That's
do you get that?
crazy. Because like I've had this question come up, and I truly believe I'm a narcissist. At the end of the day,
I can't believe you're a narcissist.
I'm pushing for a goal, and I want this goal to happen more than anything in the world.
But us too, everybody.
Exactly. So for that reason, I'm willing to have relationships with so many people,
Yes.
spread myself thin, because I'm aiming for mine. But in order to make mine happen, I do feel like I got to make this happen for this person. And so narcissistically, why am I, when I question myself, why am I doing this? Oh yeah, we got
Oh,
goals
yeah.
that we're trying to strive for.
Right.
So like,
I
to the core inside, I think we're all narcissistic to a degree.
Okay.
And I think the people who try to say that they're not are like lying to themselves to make it feel like they're a better person. I try to be as good of a person as I can be within my limits. Because there are some,
But
for example,
honestly, you're very honest with yourself.
that part. So there are some people, when you talk to them, you're almost like, you're so nice. You're so smart. and like for me, I feel like the only thing people want from me is like high energy and good times. And it's just like, all right. So then I go home and I was just like, I hope I didn't annoy that person by talking so much.
I'm like that too, though. I'm kind of a happy little thing, and but I think too, like if there was a serious thing, if there was something that needed, gravity and somberness and whatnot, I mean, we could totally do that. I've seen you dress up in a suit and just own the room. I've seen that like of 100 people. Like you're like the coolest guy there.
And so
Yeah.
I go through about 4 different outfits a day. It is brutal. I wake up at 5 with my gym outfit
Oh
on.
my
I put this on.
goodness.
Then I go put the
So
suit
you
on and get in
get
front of
your
the
hours in.
kids.
Oh my god.
Then I go put the hoodie on and go pick up my dog.
That's so funny, isn't it?
Laundry this year has been a monster.
For all these personas.
Exactly.
But I really think that you're dancing on the path though, and bringing others along.
Honestly, when I first started, it was all about the money. Mm-hmm. And you're right. There was no happiness. It was just a pursuit. And because I was pursuing it every day, I didn't get it. I couldn't feel joy, right? Like, I ain't do this. I couldn't celebrate the small wins. And then my partner, she's like, you don't see that entire room showed up for you today? That was your event. or you don't see that this happened. How much money did I make from it? Nothing.
But you had like 70 people show up with love.
I know. So yeah, it's so like
Wow.
once you start changing your mindset to embrace and like accept what is, it's a whole. Because I'm from the hood, right? So we have this "it is what it is" mindset, and so we always every time something negative happens, that's how it was supposed to be. It is what it is.
Oh, that's sad though.
Exactly. So we live in defeat and we can't even celebrate the small achievements. We don't know how to take compliments. We don't know how to do anything. Winning feels uncomfortable, so we'd rather not put ourselves in those uncomfortable situations.
Wow.
I won an award for the Detroit Chamber, and I got on stage and I literally wrote down my speech. So I was like,
I'm so glad.
and I couldn't even read it because I just burst into tears.
Oh, that's so sweet. But see, nothing you could have said was more powerful than that. Not one single thing. It doesn't matter. There's no joke. There's no story. There's no anything. There's no teaching that you could do, because they would then have tears in their eyes. Even the most hard-set person that you thought would never, ever, right? But like, yeah.
And
like,
then I was mad at myself in the car going home. I was like, how did I just cry like that?
But didn't people come up to you and hug you?
That was it. Everybody came and hugged me.
That's
and
so
like,
much love, right?
it was honestly.
So much love, and they wouldn't have been able to express that unless you were that vulnerable and you were that modest, because that says to me you don't really think you deserve it, but okay, I'll take this from you. But oh my God, everyone's looking at me, and that's how we would all feel, right? But it's just this modesty and this humility about you, but that's what makes you great.
Okay. I can accept that. I'm learning to do better. I definitely will accept that. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's really cool, though, isn't it, to kind of like to see through someone else's eyes for a little while?
I felt that feeling for a little bit. I gotta.
Yeah, no problem. That's okay. That's okay. I think we might have tissues. Do you want me to go get?
Oh,
right
no.
there.
Boom, perfect.
Thank you. Thank
See,
you,
I wasn't
universe.
trying to,
Everything's right there for you. Like I love that. Right? It's right there.
When you put it that way,
You know.
I'm feeling a little parched.
Right? Exactly. But it's so much fun though to talk about this, because it's not just you're impacting each one of those people. And what if no one ever believed in them and they went through their whole lives? Like, you're getting them early, man, and so they can have a whole different life because of like what they're learning, the people that they're surrounding themselves with, the people that you put in front of them, and even just going for ice cream or something. Like, you don't know how much that means to them.
That part. I know, like, because I bring in my programs with the schools, I bring food to them, right? I'm like, if nothing else, I'm going to put a little money in your pockets and I'm going to feed you. If nothing else, you're at least going to have a good time with me in that space. So kid was like, I've never had Chick-fil-A before. I was like, really? For real? Let's
Go, right?
Exactly. So then it's just the small things. And then they're walking around with it during the school, so then they're teasing all the other kids. And it's just like, I don't need y'all to create that much demand just yet. We're still in like our pilot phases. But yes, it's...
Because it's expensive too, right? Have you seen the lineups in like anywhere they put a Chick-fil-A? They have to do like traffic diversion, right? Because it's just, but that's
Chick-fil-A
wonderful.
is insane. I was like, they're consistent. Like, no matter
They're
how
consistent.
much the demand for them is, never had a messed up order.
It's crazy.
And then the lines, they look long, but they never really last that long. And
That's
I'm like,
good.
there's like a fast forward button there. Whatever's in the
Whatever they
Chick-fil-A
do.
system, I'm like, they need to like do business coaching to other businesses.
They do.
It's phenomenal.
They do, yeah. And it's kind of nice that they take a Sunday off, too. That's kind of nice that everyone is sort of guaranteed one day off at least. Like, it's kind of sad. Like, retail can be really brutal with schedules. And, like, there's some people who never get, even... They might get Christmas Day off, but they have to work all of Christmas Eve and then all of the day after.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's crazy because, like, those are very stressful days.
They don't even get those days off anymore. They may come in later now, right? Thanksgiving, right? It used to be the whole day.
Used to be,
Now it's like, no, 5 o'clock, you got to be here. We got to start those deals. And, like, I'm like, it's crazy because 5 o'clock is actually when dinner should be starting.
You're right. How can we be done with Thanksgiving and said goodbye to all the aunties and uncles and no?
Because Thanksgiving is at lunch now. You
Yeah,
gotta
that's
eat
what you make at 1 o'clock, and it's like, well, it isn't Thanksgiving dinner anymore, and that's what I find. Like, I really wish in this country that we had Christmas Eve off and the day after Christmas off, because Christmas Eve night, you're like, oh God, I have to get up tomorrow for work. That's not Christmas dinner. That's not Christmas evening. Like, you should be able to enjoy Christmas?
Here's my struggle with Christmas, though. Christmas seems to be over at around noon. That's right. Like the kids wake up, open the presents, and that's kind of like,
And that's
all
it.
right, y'all go play, have fun.
Do you need batteries?
I know.
Come up if you need batteries. Otherwise,
And then the NBA games start at noon, and I just be like, all right, I know what I'm doing for the rest of the day.
that's kind of nice, though. It's like the Lions playing on Thanksgiving.
I am grateful that we do get that opportunity because there's other markets that don't have that luxury, and it's just like Thanksgiving is something to look forward to, especially this version of the Lions. You know, previous versions of the Lions.
What did you do with our Lions? Like, what, is this a different? Like, what? But God bless them. Like, nobody deserves championships more than them. Nobody does. Like, I love
And
those.
that's the thing. Like, when you think of like the culture shift that happened with the Detroit Lions, like, right, like. I look at that, and it lets me know that no matter how struggling you are right now with your business, the right leader or the right leadership can literally turn it all around. But we got to invest in the people. We're so focused on the profits, how much money, right? I got to lay this off, I got to lay them off, as opposed to let's bring it together. I've read in a book, right? Like people came together, hey, can you work 4 days this week? Let's try to see if we can shift things around and save money in those spaces so we can come together as a team and grow. And like I would love to see when my community can come together and understand the business part of it. That's the part that I'm willing to wake up every day and do this for.
We had the NFL draft here last year, and everybody was just raving about what a great city Detroit was and how wonderful the people, just the everyday people, and how many people went on camera and said, this is a tourist destination. You don't understand. The food here and the venues and the events and like they have casinos and all kinds of so much to do. And, like it just, I think it gave Detroit a chance to shine. And I think Mayor Duggan, like look at all the years he's really encouraged investment and things like that. Mm-hmm. That somebody who was here 5 years ago would come here today and go like, what is this district? Like, where did this come? Like, oh my God, it's real money.
It is, but here's another struggle, right? Like it's two sides to every coin. And I love that because I do see it as well. I grew up in Detroit. But the further you get from downtown, the more reality sets in regards to what they're doing.
That's true.
And so I love that part. But then even the businesses downtown. You can count on one hand how many black-owned businesses are downtown. And like for me, that is always, again, I walk in the rooms and I know I have to be comfortable being the only black guy in the room. And then it's just one of those things to where it's just like, how do you create that kind of change?
Right. That's a lot. That's generational. That's a lot. But you're working with the right people. You're working with the right, like of so many of us, you care so much about what their future is going to be like and if they believe in themselves and all that. Like, look at the powerful example and opportunity that you're giving to them that they would not have without you. And then you think about their children and their families. Like, so what you're doing, you're kind of doing God's work. You really are. You are. And I know you're modest, but you are.
And honestly, I will say my faith is relatively new. I got baptized 2 years ago. I grew up to where the struggles that I had as a child, I had to listen to my mom all the time say, gotta handle it. It's in God's hand. And I was like, no, Mom. I had to get a job at 12 to make sure I can help pay bills. Or
I'm living out here. I know it's hard.
And so, that made my sister is still borderline atheist. I won't say outright, but right, like I was a non-believer and she was. And then all of a sudden, things just started like. You look back now and you realize, like, man, everything happened for a reason. And I don't think, like, people want to do that level of self-reflect because you do got to identify your flaws and why certain things happen.
Absolutely. And then kind of decide that you could be that person or you could change.
If it wasn't for the Detroit Chamber and the leaders that I've met and so many of the businesses in the area, I don't think I would have gotten there. Like, the amount of people that say, like, cheesy stuff, but like it's what their daily ritual is.
It's true.
Right. She was like, words of affirmation. Wake up in the morning in the mirror and I say these things to myself. And it's just like, and that's what gets you. It gets you out the house. It definitely gets. And
it's better than going back to bed. Yeah.
And if it gets you out of the house, it got you started.
That's so true. And you can't make a difference if you don't have a job or you don't have a purpose or, So yeah, it's incredibly precious and beautiful and powerful, the example that you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Such a pleasure to talk with you. So if you ever want to launch anything or anything at all, please come back, because you always have a home with me. And
I got some kids that could use an opportunity to speak on an experience we provided to them recently.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea, because they wouldn't have access to this unless you and I met. See how powerful?
That's it.
There you go.
That's what it's all about.
That's a great idea, though, because this is real, right? And then what you could do is, in the next week or two, when it actually shows on the channel, then if you can bring your computer in that day or something and let them see you on TV, and we're going to say to them, you know what, you are welcome to come on here and experience this for yourself, because it's powerful. It's so powerful to come here.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Oh my God. I'm going to put this on silent too. But yeah, I'm really glad we had time today. Thank you for working me into your weekend. I'm amazed at you, how kind you are.
Thank you. Now I get to run home and pack.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, but you said yes and showed up. I so appreciate you. I'm really glad you came early, because then you get to start your weekend earlier. But so my gosh, looking forward to seeing you guys when you come with Aaron, and it's going to be so much fun. Thank you.
That's awesome.
See you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye. You are phenomenal.
That was fun.
And you get to do this every Friday?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And the reason is because I came here and I was going to make